Then he speaks about the process of surrender by which the Supreme Lord can be attained, and he makes several points. The first point being that when a devotee approaches the Supreme Lord for surrender, the Supreme Lord becomes magnificent. He becomes brilliant in satisfaction, thinking that he has got the opportunity to protect those who have surrendered unto him. And he appears with his weapons fully ready to award protection. Then, Govindaraja says that when one surrenders to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Personality of Godhead awards him the result of his surrendering. The third point is that that even if one is unqualified, the nature of surrender is such that if one surrenders to a competent authority, the authority will protect him and will also fulfill his desires. Okay. Then, the fifth point that Govindaraja makes is regarding Bharata, and how even though Lord Bharata, we can say Lord Bharata. So, even though Lord Bharata requested Lord Rama to come back to the kingdom immediately and surrendered unto him, the Supreme Lord Ramachandra fulfilled his desire, but refined his desire according to his purpose, whereby he made Bharata accept that he can return to Ayodhya after 14 years of exile, and in the meantime, he empowered his divine shoes, his divine padukas, to perform all the activities that Lord Ramachandra would himself perform if he were there. And Bharata, by serving those divine shoes of Lord Rama, his desire was fulfilled. So in this way, Bharata's surrender was fruitful. And in the end, Lord Ramachandra himself came. Sixth point that Govindaraja makes is that just by residing in the territory, like the rishis of Dandakaranya, Lord Rama considered them to be surrendered and approached them himself to protect them. So when one is living within the territory of the Supreme Lord, such as in a holy place or temple where the deity is present, or dham, then the Supreme Lord automatically protects such an individual. This is another point that Govindaraja makes. And then seventh point is that even though one may be as offensive as that of the crow Jayanta towards Sita and Rama, after realizing that offense, if such a personality comes and offers full obeisances unreservedly and seeks the protection of Rama and Sita, and also seeks forgiveness, especially for the Vaishnava aparad that the crow Jayanta did towards Sita Devi, then the Supreme Lord forgives such an individual for that offense and protects him, while at the same time chastising him so that he reforms. We'll see that more again. It will come back again later in the next section about how Supreme Lord chastises those who have surrendered. So how does he chastise? How does he reform them? We'll see that in the next section. So then we also saw how Sugriva, a surrendered soul to Lord Rama, had forgotten his duty. He had forgotten, after surrendering and after promising the Supreme Lord to render devotional service unto him by searching Sita, Sugriva forgot his duty and was immersed in sense gratification. So we saw how through the association of the spiritual master, which in this case Hanuman represents that spiritual master for Sugriva, and that's also stated by Govindaraja later in the same section, and by the association of fellow Vaishnavas like Tara, Sugriva was brought back to his senses, and how the Supreme Lord and the spiritual master may show great anger towards the devotee, and even, as in the case of Sugriva, threatened to kill him but actually there is no intention to kill. The intention is to protect. The intention is to reform that particular devotee who has surrendered, to reform him, to come back to the position of being a surrendered soul. So in this way, in the process of surrender, Supreme Lord protects even those who have gone astray and tries to bring them back to proper consciousness, back to Krishna consciousness. Okay, so that's where we stopped yesterday. So, next point that Govinda Raja makes. The author Valmiki informs us through the following words of Sita Devi that surrender unto the Supreme Lord means being favorably disposed to Him in submission. Oh no, we read this also, didn't we? Did we read this? No, we haven't. Sorry. No. Okay. Mitram aupayikam kartum ramah sthanam paripsata vadham chanichata ghoram tvayasau purusha rishabha vidita sahi dharmagnya sharanagata vatsalaha Tena maitri bhavatu te yadi jivitum ichchasi prasadayasvatvam chainam sharanagata vatsalam. To Ravana, if you want safety and do not want a dreadful death, establish a useful friendship with the Supreme Person Rama. He knows dharma and is affectionate to those who surrender unto him. Volume could be reduced a little bit, there's some echo. Therefore, if you wish to live, become friendly towards Rama. Please him. He is affectionate to those who have surrendered to him, unto him. So, here the point that's being made is that surrender means that one has to become favorably disposed towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It can't be some show. So, this section, we'll read a little bit about it for those who don't know what we're speaking about. So, this Sita Devi is instructing Ravana. When Ravana approaches Sita in the presence of Hanuman, Hanuman is still hiding. Sita doesn't know that Hanuman is observing this scene. Sita has been kidnapped by Hanuman and is in the Ashoka Vatika, the Ashoka Grove, in Ravana's palace in the city of Lanka. And Ravana approaches her daily, trying to convince her to accept him and become his wife. So, in this particular instance, Sita, when she sees, okay, okay. Ravana was awakened before dawn by the singing of the bards, who praised his glories to the accompaniment of musical instruments. As he arose, Ravana began to think of Sita, for he was irresistibly drawn to her. Unable to suppress his sensual longing for the princess of Videha, Ravana set out for the Ashoka Grove, accompanied by 100 beautiful women carrying golden lamps, chamaras, cushions, water, and other paraphernalia. Still under the influence of the previous night's intoxication, Ravana staggered along, followed by the lovely ladies who appeared to be like flashes of lightning behind a cloud. When Hanuman saw Ravana approach, he concealed himself behind a cluster of leafy branches. So, here, Ravana awakens, and as soon as he awakens, he thinks of Sita. Now, while if one is a devotee and one is thinking of the consort of the Lord, such as Lakshmi, Sita, Rukmini or Radharani, in relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in relation to Narayana, Rama, Krishna, then such thought is very auspicious, such thought is very wonderful, such thought is very glorious. But here, for Ravana, Sita is simply Maya. And this is an example of a conditioned soul who, as soon as he gets up, What does he like to think of? Thinks of money. Thinks of money. He thinks of sense gratification. In this particular case, Prabhupada would often compare, he would give that example. People like to have Lakshmi without Narayana, just as Ravana wanted to have Sita without Rama. So, a conditioned soul likes to think of money and then becomes irresistibly drawn. A conditioned soul is irresistibly drawn to wealth. That's why the name Hiranyakashipu is there. You see, Hiranyakashipu. Hiranya means gold, Kashipu means soft bed. So, conditioned souls are interested in thinking primarily of two things. One is wealth, how to amass wealth, and second thing is how to indulge in sex, how to have sexual indulgence or sense gratification. So, Ravana is, again, he is incarnation of Hiranyakashipu. So, does the same thing. So, he is drawn to her. And people, when they approach wealth, they try to approach it with as much fanfare as possible. They like to show off their wealth. They like to show off they're not, as Ravana, he has no shame in approaching Sita. He doesn't try to do it alone. He doesn't try to, he goes all out in his attempt to approach Sita in fulfillment of his lusty desires, especially earning wealth. Because conditioned souls think there's nothing wrong in amassing wealth. It's my wealth. What's the problem? Give me my money. It's my money. And so, like that, Ravana thinks Sita is his. When Sita saw Ravana coming, she covered her body as best as she could. Then, trembling violently, she sat down and wept. As Sita sat upon the bare ground, she swayed back and forth like a frail boat tossing upon a stormy ocean. In a wretched condition, Sita appeared to be like understanding that had become dim, hope that had become frustrated, an order flouted, or a sacred altar that had been desecrated. She was like the full moon in eclipse, an army that had been routed, or a stream dried up from drought. She was like a pond whose lotuses had been uprooted, an extinguished flame, or birds fleeing from fright. So much could be said about these analogies, but we have to get back to this topic. But the point is, here, this kind of vivid description is given to show how much Lakshmi Devi, Sita, doesn't like to be without the association of her Lord. That materialists, they think that by performing things like Lakshmi Puja and welcoming her very nicely and this and that, they think that by doing all this pompous display of worship, Devi becomes satisfied. But she never becomes satisfied. She does not become satisfied because she is being separated from her Lord, and this rascal conditioned soul is trying to enjoy her, although she is only deserved to be enjoyed by the Supreme Lord, and it gives her much displeasure, and that displeasure is seen here. She's trembling violently. She's sitting down and weeping. She's in the bare ground, swaying back and forth like a frail boat tossed upon a stormy ocean. And this is compared to be like hope that has been frustrated, order that has been flouted. Amazing examples. Order that has been flouted. So when one receives an order from one's superior and one flouts it, it's actually really, really bad. It's like this. So anyways, we'll keep going on. Sita's body had become emaciated and her mind depressed from her fasting and grief. Ravana came before Sita and began speaking in hope of seducing her. O most fair and beautiful lady, why do you cover your shapely breasts and thin waist? O large-eyed beauty, I am afflicted with love for you. So please give up your shyness. Favor me, my beloved, and fulfill my unbearable longing to have you. It has always been the custom of Rakshasas to carry away or rape the wives of others. However, I shall not touch you as long as you do not voluntarily agree to have me in return. So then, he speaks some things more. Then, what does Sita say? Sita placed a straw between herself and Ravana as a symbol of her unwillingness to contact him directly. She gently replied, "You should withdraw your mind from me and remain contented with the consorts you already possess. You will never be able to possess me, just as a sinful man fails to achieve perfection. I was born in a noble family and married according to religious principles. I will never act contrary to the tenets of righteousness. There is no hope of your gaining my favor." Turning her back on Ravana, Sita continued, "Because you are acting perversely, directing yourself away from the path of virtue, you will become the cause for the destruction of your entire kingdom. Why not follow the example of good men who protect their wives and the wives of others? The fool who is dissatisfied with his own wife seeks pleasure with the wives of others, and seeks pleasure with the wives of others is doomed. Why do you ignore the advice of the wise and reject that which is good? Why are you determined to cause the destruction of all the Rakshasas? Do you not know that everyone rejoices at the destruction of wicked persons?" So, up till this point of time, Sita is speaking to him on normal, codes of dharma, just regular codes of dharma. First, she says, I'm a chaste woman. You rascal, you will never be able to gain my favor. Second, she speaks to him on just the platform of dharma. That one who neglects his wife, one who is wicked, one who is sinful, they will never achieve perfection. Then she comes to the real point. "I will never be tempted by your offers of insignificant opulence and royal comforts. I am as inseparable from Rama as sunlight is from the sun. The only way that you can save yourself from Rama's wrath is to voluntarily deliver me back to him. You should try to make friendship with him, for he is very merciful to those who take shelter of him. Otherwise, it will not be long before Rama and Lakshmana come here and suck out your life breath with their arrows. You shall never escape Rama's vengeance, even though you may be capable of saving yourself from Indra's thunderbolt. It is only a matter of time before Rama finds you out and kills you for your wickedness." So, here you can see that Sita Devi, she doesn't hold back. She doesn't hold back. She speaks straightforwardly to Ravana. Nobody in his kingdom would dare to speak to him like that. None of the demigods would dare to speak to him like that. But yet Sita Devi speaks to him like that. And what is Ravana's reaction? What is Ravana's reaction? Huh? He gets angry.
And he wants to eat her.
And he wants to eat her. So he tries to bring her under his control forcibly. This is Ravana's attitude. That a conditioned soul even though a conditioned soul may kind of realize, well, this sense gratification, or he may be told that you don't deserve this. It's not for you. But, one who is insincere or one who is a fool, when you give them good instruction, they become angry. Right? And when they become, and what does the conditioned soul think? By my prowess, by my intelligence, by my scheming, I will bring wealth under my control. I will bring sense gratification under my control. I will manage to achieve this. In spite of being instructed, he will not change. Whereas a devotee, you see similar instances. We saw how Sugriva was the previous class. Now Sugriva also was being instructed by Lakshmana that if you don't come, Hanuman tells him, Tara tells him, hey, listen, if you don't come to Lord Rama and surrender unto him, he's going to suck your life out along with your entire kingdom. And all the monkeys will perish because of you. Your entire kingdom will be destroyed. What he is being told is similar to what Sita is telling to Ravana. But see the two different kinds of reactions. One reaction, Sugriva comes unreservedly. He understands, he understands who Rama is. Therefore, it is not possible to surrender unto the Supreme Lord and become favorably disposed towards him without understanding who he actually is. If we don't understand the Supreme Lord's position, if we don't understand his greatness, if we don't understand that he is the source of all existence, if we don't understand that he is situated within everything, he is sustaining everything, he is ultimately the creator and destroyer of everything, if we don't understand the supreme position of the Supreme Lord, then we cannot surrender unto him. Nowadays, there's a trend in our society, that there's some weird idea that you can perform service, but you don't really need to know who Krishna is. that you don't need to be told who Krishna is. Like one devotee was making an argument. He was like, generally we tell devotees who Krishna is, and then we tell them that you have to serve Krishna. But why don't we bring the service attitude first and then tell them who Krishna is? You can't. You can't. Why will you surrender? Why will you surrender? It's not that just, by service attitude, and then suddenly you say, now you're serving very nicely, now serve Krishna. Why the hell should I serve Krishna? Without preaching about Krishna, without preaching about who God is, we cannot bring people to Krishna consciousness. It is not possible. It's not possible. And vague presentations of Krishna as being some original energy and something, like this, it doesn't help. Because you don't know who Krishna is, you're not going to surrender unto him. And these people will never surrender. This watered down Krishna consciousness will not work. Because you will never become favorably disposed towards Krishna. You see how Sita is preaching. Who is Sita? Sita is consort of Supreme Lord. She is Lakshmi Devi herself. She founded a sampradaya. Sri Vaishnava sampradaya. How do you preach? You have to preach. Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is no way you can beat around the bush by presenting who Krishna is. You have to present Krishna. Krishna says he doesn't beat around the bush when he preaches about himself to Arjuna. He doesn't do that. So this is a very important point to understand that one has to know who Supreme Lord is. Sugriva knew who Supreme Lord is, therefore he surrendered. Ravana refused to accept who Supreme Lord is, therefore he won't surrender. Same instruction, different result. So this is another amazing thing we learn from Ramayana. Okay. Number 10. Sage Valmiki points out that before surrendering unto the Lord, one should abandon the association of all those who oppose such surrender. This is seen in Vibhishana's surrender unto Rama. Soham parushitastena dasavat chavamanitaha tyaktva putramscha dharamscha raghavam sharanam gataha. Having been dealt with harshly and insulted like a servant by Ravana, I have abandoned my sons and wife and come to surrender unto Raghava. So this pastime occurs in the Yuddha Kanda of the Ramayana. So we will read about this. Okay, turning to Ravana. So right now, this is in Ravana's court, and news has reached Ravana that Lord Ramachandra has assembled an army of millions of monkeys on the other side of the ocean, and they are figuring out how they are going to cross the ocean. Danger is imminent. War is imminent for Lanka. And all it just requires now is for Rama to cross that ocean with the army of monkeys. So this is being discussed in the royal court. And Vibhishana said, turning to Ravana, Vibhishana said, I am only thinking of your welfare when I say that you should return Sita to Rama. The minister who measures the relative strength of the king and his enemy and then gives advice accordingly is the true well-wisher. Unable to tolerate his uncle's words any longer, Indrajit hotly interrupted, Vibhishana, you are simply a coward and a eunuch. It's really, really heavy. Really heavy. It's his uncle. Vibhishana, you are simply a coward and a eunuch. Your advice has no place in this assembly, for it is devoid of courage and heroism. Previously, I dragged Indra and his carrier Airavata to the ground, causing all the demigods to flee in fear. It will be easy for me to kill two ordinary humans like Rama and Lakshmana. Vibhishana harshly replied, you are but a mere boy. Because your intelligence is not yet developed, you cannot decide what is to be done and what is to be avoided. So one whose intelligence is not developed, one who's immature, they don't know what is to be done and what is to be avoided. One who doesn't have knowledge, what is that verse? Yeah, Krishna gives characteristic of asuras in Bhagavad Gita. Pravritim cha nivritim cha janana vidurasuraha. They don't know what is to be done and what is not to be done. Why? Because practically their intelligence is like that of children. They never, people may grow up physically and they may perform activities that adults perform, such as sex and things like that. But their intelligence is worse than that of children. It's because it's like animals. And, children are also like animals. So their intelligence hasn't grown. So they don't know what is to be done, what is not to be done. Child doesn't know what is to be done, what is not to be done. You are actually Ravana's enemy and not his son. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Vibhishana is saying, you are actually Ravana's enemy and not his son because you are dull-headed, indiscriminate, uncultured and wicked. It's true, he is really uncultured, that's for sure. Sita should be given back to Rama along with generous gifts so that the Rakshasas may continue to live peacefully. So not only is Vibhishana saying that Sita has to be given back, he give it back with profuse gifts. It's like he is not holding back on his instructions. Ravana got tired of hearing Vibhishana's contrary advice. To chastise his youngest half-brother, he said, it is better to live with an enemy or a poisonous snake than one who claims to be a friend but is actually a traitor, especially if that person is one's own brother. It appears that one's own relatives rejoice the most at their family members' misfortune. Once, when some elephants saw some hunters approaching with snares in their hands, they recited the following two verses. Fire and weapons we do not fear. The dangerous are the so-called near and dear. They are the ones who take special pains to make sure that we are all put in chains. From cows we derive milk. In brahmanas we find austerity. In women we see fickleness. And from relatives we are put in danger. Vibhishana, you are envious of me. Actually, so much can be just spoken on what Ravana is saying here. But anyways, Vibhishana,
He's got some good points.
yeah, he's got some good points. From cows we derive milk. Don't derive milk. That's, what is a cow? Cow means give milk. In brahmanas we find austerity. A brahmana is not supposed to be a sense indulger. He should show some austerity. He should show some tapasya. In women we see fickleness. So, and from relatives we are put in danger. So, relatives are, they're only nice as long as, things work according to what they think it should work. And when it doesn't work, they immediately start criticizing you. Vibhishana, you are envious of me. That is why you cannot tolerate the honor I receive. If anyone else had spoken as you did, I would have killed him at once. You, O wretched half-brother, are a disgrace to our noble family. Enraged by Ravana's rebuke, Vibhishana rose up with a club in hand, along with 4 of his followers, and declared, O king, although you are my superior, I can no longer tolerate your words, for you have chosen to follow the path of irreligion. Flatterers who only utter palatable words are easy to find. However, persons who actually speak for one's benefit, even though the truth may be unpalatable, are very rare. O Ravana, I have only given you advice with the hope of saving you from meeting death at the hands of Rama. You have rejected my advice, however, and are free to do so. Thus, I wish you well, O brother, but I shall no longer remain here with you. So, here you see how Vibhishana, now he's a grahastha, right? He doesn't think of his wife, he doesn't think of his children, he doesn't think of anything. One has to give up the association of those who are offenders and those who are non-devotees. They have to give it up like that. There is no second thought, there is no consideration. One immediately has to give up such association. Now when giving up such offensive association, the Vaishnava does not wish those people ill. You see, Vibhishana, he could say, Ravana, I wish you 10,000 times more pain than what you will experience when Rama's arrow pierces your, or whatever. He could say something crazy like this. But he doesn't say that. He doesn't say. He doesn't say all these things. He says, oh, yeah, you are free. You are free to be offensive. That's your foolishness. He doesn't hold back in saying that it's foolish. But he says, you are free to do so. And ultimately, I still wish you well. but I'm not going to stay here any longer. And he leaves. So this is Vibhishana. And you see, Vibhishana had 4, close associates. And they might have been, they might not have been, as learned, educated, or as, thoughtful as Vibhishana. But because of his association, they also gained Rama's lotus feet. They also achieved that shelter. So, this is the advantage of being in proper association. That when one is in proper association, even though one may not be as intelligent, one may not be so independently qualified, but if you are in good association, that good association carries us. And same thing happens with bad association. Bad association also carries you. So, for those who are less intelligent, which frankly, according to Srimad Bhagavatam, the people of Kali Yuga are all less intelligent. What is that? Manda. Sumanda Matayo. They don't have, they're bereft of intelligence actually. Forget about less intelligence. The people of Kali Yuga are bereft of intelligence. Therefore, association is so important. And never should we actually think ourselves to become independently capable of practicing Krishna consciousness. We depend on good association of devotees. And here, seeing what Vibhishana did, the 4 associates, having faith in him, they also gave up. They didn't know. Vibhishana didn't tell them, listen, what I'm planning to do is I'm planning to go to Rama and I think he will accept me, this, that. He doesn't explain anything. This is a very spontaneous thing. And that's what's called faith. Faith doesn't mean that when the moment comes, it doesn't mean that one has to be given a lecture so that one can one does what is required to be done. Faith means that having placed faith in proper authority, having placed faith in good association, having placed faith in a Krishna conscious person, one should not expect explanations from that devotee for every single thing. When one follows means that, okay, if he is doing, okay, so then, one does in a similar manner. And that's called following. So Vibhishana here was followed by 4 of his associates. And he didn't have any time to talk to them. They saw him leaving. They're like, oh, our life, we cannot exist without this association. So we also leave. So what happens? Not only did Vibhishana, renounce his wife and children, these 4 associates also renounced. Now what happened in the end? Vibhishana regained his wife and children. They were the only ones who didn't lament. Everybody else in Lanka is lamenting at the end of the battle. Everybody else is lamenting. But Vibhishana, his wife, his children, they are not lamenting because Vibhishana is still alive. So this is how Supreme Lord protects. He protects. And although the devotee didn't expect that. He did not expect, And so here, Vibhishana and his followers departed. And within 1 hour, they reached Rama's camp. Vibhishana has mystical powers, like the other Rakshasas. So all he did was rise up and fly. So, when the monkeys saw Vibhishana hovering overhead, like a peak of Mount Meru illuminated with lightning, Sugriva told Hanuman, take care, this Rakshasa must have come here to kill us. All the monkeys began picking up rocks and uprooting trees, awaiting Sugriva's instructions. So, this section will be seen a little later. But the point here is that, so we'll see how Vibhishana was accepted. Or maybe we'll skip. Okay. How is Vibhishana accepted by the Supreme Lord? I'll come back to this other section to see the debate between Sugriva and Hanuman. So, where is this? Okay. Still unconvinced, Sugriva meekly protested. He may have been sent by Ravana. Therefore, to be safe, we should immediately capture and kill him. If we accept him, he may turn on us at any moment. Rama smiled and said, do you really think that this Rakshasa could hurt me? With a mere tip of my finger, I could kill all the Rakshasas and demons. Please listen as I tell you the following story. Once there was a hunter who caught a pigeon in his snare. Afterward, he took rest under a nearby tree. The wife of the captured pigeon was resting in that tree, and upon seeing that the hunter had come to her house, she offered him ample hospitality. Indeed, she had nothing else to feed the hunter. Therefore, the bird offered him her own flesh to fulfill her obligation to receive a guest. Rama continued, O Sugriva, since a mere bird acted in this way, what can be said of a man like myself? There are many places in the scriptures where it is said that when an enemy arrives with folded hands, he must be protected by all means. The great sage Kandu has commented that it is only out of fear or folly that one would act otherwise, thus incurring sin. Moreover, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is my eternal principle that if any living being takes shelter of me, even once, saying, I am yours, then I award that person freedom from all fear. So verse is, Sakrideva prapanno yas tavasmi iti yachate. Everyone forgot wonderfully. Abhayam sarvada tasmai dadam yetad vratam mama. We just learned it a few weeks ago. Okay, anyways. So, even if Ravana were to come here and surrender unto me, I would give him all protection. Sugriva's heart became filled with love upon hearing Rama's sublime statement. With tears in his eyes, he admitted, O Rama, your words and deeds are always befitting your supreme position. I too feel that Vibhishana is sincere. Therefore, let friendship be made without delay. After being assured of safety, Vibhishana descended to the earth and fell down flat at the lotus feet of Lord Rama. In a mood of full surrender, he explained, I am the youngest half-brother of Ravana, and my name is Vibhishana. Although I instructed the Rakshasa king for his benefit, he rebuked me harshly. Therefore, I have abandoned my home, family, and possessions, and left Lanka to engage in your unalloyed devotional service. I now place my life in your hands and beg you to bless me with your causeless mercy. Takes a lot to do this. Takes a lot to leave your brother who conquered all the demigods. But how is it possible? How is it possible for Vishnu to do this? Surrendering to Vishnu? Why? No. We just discussed this. Huh? No. Huh? He knows Lord Rama's position. He knows Rama. He knows Ravana to be a fig in front of Rama. So, therefore, he was able to surrender. So, this is why, even when we read Bhagavatam, there is so much description about the greatness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All these prayers, so many prayers. Oh, about the glorification of the Supreme Lord. We become a little tired of reading these things, but actually we should read, because then it is possible for us to surrender. Otherwise, the surrender doesn't happen. Therefore, it's there in the Bhagavatam. Okay. The 11th point. When Rama wanted to cross the ocean, he surrendered unto the presiding deity of the ocean in order that the ocean would part and he and his army of monkeys could walk to Lanka. This is described as Tata Sagara Velayam Dharban Astirya Raghavaha Anjalim Pran Mukha Kritva Pratishishye Mahodadehe Bahum Bhujaga Bhoga Bham Upadhayari Sudanaha. Then Raghava spread kusha grass with sharp edges on the shore of the ocean, joined his palms in supplication while facing the east, and lay down against the great ocean. That destroyer of enemies. Crashed again. Okay. That destroyer of enemies used his arm that resembled the tender body of a snake as a pillow. Through this act, it is pointed out that one should not consider an eligible person to be ineligible or an ineligible person to be eligible. Vibhishana surrendered unto Lord Rama as soon as he left Lanka, a place of impurity. Authorities state that Rama's surrender unto the presiding deity of the ocean did not yield his desired result because he had surrendered to someone who was not competent to award the desired result and compassionate to the surrendered soul. So, Vidwan Gauranga Prabhu comments, Lord Rama did this to show that surrender unto the demigods is not useful. In Canto 1, we come across a similar incident. In chapter 63 and 64 of Canto 1, Indra instructs Rambha to sensually allure Vishwamitra, who is engaged in austerities, in order to conquer over lust and anger. Rambha is frightened that Vishwamitra would curse her. Indra assures her, however, that he and Kamadev would be with her, and so there is no need for her to be afraid. She surrenders to Indra's instruction, and lo, behold, she is indeed cursed by Vishwamitra to become a stone. Indra and Kamadeva just flew away from the scene. This is another illustration that surrender unto a person who is incompetent to grant one's desired result and who is compassionate upon the surrendered soul is simply useless. The Ramayana thus teaches all aspects of the process of surrender. Isn't this wonderful? See what happens in this incident with the ocean. This is right after Vibhishana surrenders. So, okay. Thereafter, Rama solicited Varuna, the presiding deity of the ocean, with folded hands. So, we already saw that folding hands in supplication is a Is a sign of surrender, is a sign of Sharanagati. Right? So, Rama does that with folded hands. Rama was determined to reach Lanka by any means and was prepared to kill the ocean god if he refused to cooperate. When 3 days and nights passed without any response from the ocean deity, Rama became greatly irritated. Addressing Lakshmana, he said, I can now practically see that in this material world, the good qualities of patience, forgiveness, and politeness are useless when dealing with persons bereft of all virtue. In this material world, such rascals give more respect to persons who are impudent, aggressive, harsh in speech, and who run about advertising themselves. Because of my mildness and forbearance, the ocean considers me to be impotent. Thus, he will not deign. What does that mean? D-E-I-G-N. Anyways. Deign, that's how it's said. Huh? Deign, D-E-I-G-N. Okay. Thus he will not deign to come before me. Lakshmana, give me my bow, and I will teach this ocean a lesson. Watch as I dry up the water. Then the monkeys can march to Lanka on foot without difficulty. Huh? To do something below one's dignity. Wow, so much in one word, huh? And how is it pronounced? Deign. Yeah. Okay. So here, so 2 incidents are described also. So here Rama surrenders unto the ocean, but the ocean god doesn't reply. Doesn't respond to Rama. Why? Because he's not competent to be surrendered unto. He's not Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anybody who is not Supreme Personality of Godhead and who is not his representative is conditioned. And such a conditioned person cannot offer surrender. Such a conditioned person, as it is said here, Rama is saying that patience, forgiveness, and politeness are useless when you deal with people like that. And what do these people respect? Impudent, aggressive, harsh in behavior, and those who run about advertising themselves. So in the material world, this is how you gain attention. How do you gain attention? You're impudent, you're aggressive, you go about boasting about yourself. And this is, this is Western culture, this is American culture. Right? This is what it is. And otherwise, you're considered to be impotent. You're considered to be a wimp. You're considered to be useless. And if you try to be humble, if you try to be, submissive or something, people will just trample upon you and keep going on. That's all. Now, when we come to Krishna consciousness, sometimes we think that we should do similar things. But, much to our shock and dismay, we'll find that devotees become upset about these things. Or worse, the spiritual master is completely unimpressed. In fact, you see the opposite happening. Spiritual and that also, The quality of spiritual master, quality of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is to reform a devotee from being impudent, aggressive, harsh in speech, who are running about advertising themselves, to becoming patient, forgiving, polite in behavior. The qualities of a Vaishnava. So one has to transform into those qualities. And one who is a competent authority will instruct a devotee in a suitable manner to reform these qualities, not puff them up even more and more. Oh, you're so wonderful, you're so wonderful, you're so wonderful. Sometimes I've seen, it's very common, even in the material world. People like to glorify you so that they can get something out of you. Krishna and his representatives, like the spiritual master, are not people like that. They won't glorify you simply to get something out of you. They'll chastise you. They won't puff you up. They won't unnecessarily simply glorify. It is not the position of a spiritual master to constantly glorify the disciple. The spiritual master primarily engages in instructing the disciple. He may also glorify, but it's artificial if one who is supposed to be instructing simply glorifies all the time. Nowadays we see, for instance, there are philosophies or thoughts where, for instance, how should a parent bring up one child? Always glorify the child, that's all. Just to simply glorify. And if you are kind, if you are compassionate and all this, the child will develop those qualities. It doesn't. There has to be some sort of correction. Of course, that correction should not be excessive. That also, if one is competent to give shelter, one understands what is the tolerance level of one's dependent. The spiritual master knows what level of chastisement to give the disciple. He knows what level the disciple can take. To some disciple, he may give certain instruction. Another disciple may not be capable of holding that instruction. And this is why we require spiritual master, because Krishna has presented many instructions in scriptures. But spiritual master will tell us what we are capable of following first. Otherwise, we are not capable of following. Different. So many things are there. How do you know what applies to you? How do you know what is beneficial for you? Therefore, one requires Guru, so that one understands Shastra. So, this is the nature of surrendering to one who is not capable of providing that protection. It will not yield the desired results. And then we see that horrific example of Ramba being instructed by Indra and Kamadev. And the story is pretty vivid. I forgot to note where it is. So I know it's somewhere in Balakanda, as I think. But oh, wow! I actually found it. That's amazing. Okay. So, yeah. So here, okay. After Lord Brahma departed, Vishwamitra resumed his austerities, standing with his arms upraised and subsisting on air alone for 1,000 years. Thus Indra and the other demigods became fearful and devised yet another plan to thwart Vishwamitra. Why do the demigods become fearful? Because they are afraid that if a living entity becomes too pious, they'll take up their position. This is the point. And this is also the reason why it's stated in the Bhagavatam that demigods can also try to disturb devotees. Because devotees with material desires eventually are expected to land in the heavenly planets. And you become dangerous to the demigods. So, but if one is under the shelter of Guru and Krishna, then whatever tricks the demigods may play upon the devotee is protected. So, Indra requested the lovely Apsara named Rambha to allure Vishwamitra away from his practice of austerities. Rambha trembling with fear, declined, saying that she feared Vishwamitra's curse. Indra, however, assured her by saying, "Dear girl, please do not be afraid, for you shall surely succeed. It is springtime, and Cupid shall accompany you. I shall also go, disguised as a sweet singing cuckoo. Do not worry. It, your beauty is irresistible. Vishwamitra will become a toy in your hands." Ramba finally agreed, and thereafter she appeared before Vishwamitra in a most pleasing manner, displaying her various feminine allurements. At first, Vishwamitra was pleased to see her, thinking that she had come of her own accord. However, after a moment's consideration, Vishwamitra realized that her appearance was simply another trick to thwart him from his practice. Flaring with anger, Vishwamitra roared, "You foolish woman! You knew that I was performing austerities for the purpose of controlling my senses. Still, you dare to persist, trying to seduce me. For this, you will have to stand as a stone statue for 10,000 years or until the Rishi Vashishta delivers you." Ramba immediately turned into stone, while Indra and Cupid fearfully fled from the scene. So, that's the end of that story. So, this is why that story is there. See, when we just read the Ramayana, I mean, we think, okay, just see, how dangerous Maya is and this and that. But Acharyas pull out another example. They say, just see. Ramba surrendered unto Indra. What was the use? What was the use? He cannot get protected. Rama surrendered unto the ocean god. But Rama is Rama. Rama is not conditioned soul. So he can do anything, He can dally with other people's wives also. There is no problem, As Supreme Personality Godhead, as Krishna, he does that. Now, therefore, he is just teaching us that there is no use in surrendering to the demigods. Okay, so with that, we'll stop here. We'll continue this evening. Any questions and comments? Yes. Takes like 5 minutes.
Every day Mahayagya, just to get. He can't do it before.
What can you do before?
Taking this.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
The mics still don't work. This is amazing. So anyway, reading, you're speaking about how, this the nature of being in the material world is that we run around being impudent, aggressive, and try to grab attention, advertise ourselves. But the spiritual master does just the opposite. And when you do that, then you get the mercy of the
we all have experience. At least I have experience trying to show off in front of spiritual master and getting just completely ignored. Sometimes sometimes you get chastised, but worse than getting chastised is to completely ignore. Just straight up ignore. And it's so hard because he just ignores you. It acts like, actually, ignorance is sometimes some of the best ways to give a reaction. There's no reaction. And it's really hard.
Yeah. So, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, I was reading a couple of, I was reading Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhava last night before sleeping. And over here he writes a letter to a disciple. He says, "The very language of your communication, which is soft with humility and lively with bhakti, is a reflection of your great heart and your Hari Seva."
Reflection of your Hari Seva. Wow.
Sri Sri Gaurasundara is especially merciful to the humble and helpless. Many of us have become extremely pleased in perceiving your humble demeanor, gentle nature, devotion to Bhagavan, and inclination to Hari Seva with indifference to the world. I am also praying at the lotus feet of Sriman Mahaprabhu, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. I am also praying at the lotus feet of Sriman Mahaprabhu that your enthusiasm for Hari Seva may increase day by day, and that you may be respected by everyone, progress in spiritual life, and worship the Lord continuously. And then he goes on. All the devotees here are offering homage to you. I will be very pleased to know that by the mercy of the Lord, you are chanting Harinam without any obstacles.
Jai.
The spiritual master is so pleased when we do exactly the opposite.
Can the speaker be turned on? For
I
him?
mean,
Oh, that is. I see. Okay.
it's only loud when you do this. Other than that, you know. So spiritual master is so pleased, and the one point is Rama. He wants Vibhishana. It's
Oh,
not like
before you go on to that one, can I say
Yeah,
something
yeah,
about
yeah.
this? So, these qualities of humility, forbearance, tolerance, politeness, these bhushanas that a devotee gets, the 26 qualities of a Vaishnava, they are so pleasing to other Vaishnavas like the spiritual master. And then you can see how when spiritual master is pleased like this, he offers prayers on behalf of the disciple, for the disciple. Now, we already know that for those who are surrendered souls, Krishna guarantees the result. Who can set a better example of surrender than the Acharya himself? And when such Acharyas make prayers to the Supreme Lord on one's behalf, the result it is absolutely guaranteed.
facts.
That is the position of mercy that we should attain. When that happens, our devotional life is guaranteed. And that happens, why? Because Krishna has to fulfill. He has to fulfill the desire of the Acharya. Because the Acharya is a surrendered soul. Acharya is teaching the process of Sharanagati. And if Krishna doesn't fulfill the result of Sharanagati through the example of the Acharya, then how will people know that the process of Sharanagati is true? So just see, it's so amazing, isn't it?
Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Prabhupada
And
says,
Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati makes
can
a
you
prayer
imagine?
for
Can you
you.
imagine? It's so amazing. Tare cha bhalavan paschadje shetan tan loi jate gaurangere nam.
So that's another point, yeah.
The
Going
the
preaching.
desires.
Yeah.
The minute we please them, and it's their desire that you get the mercy, you're getting the mercy. That's the key. Is to vetatvam shomya tat sarvam tatvata sad anugrahat bruhyu snigdasya shishyasya guruva guhyam apyata. Because you're gentle and meek, your spiritual master has bestowed upon you all the benedictions. And Rama actually wants Vibhishana. It's not like when you surrender, you can just be a big rascal. Surrender to the Lord on Sunday, and then Monday to Saturday is sin like anything. Lucy, see all these different Matajis every week, and then again on Sunday you surrender again. It's not like Prabhupada says it's called a nonsense. So Rama wants Vibhishana. Look, by your friendship, I'm going to give you complete protection and all that. But if you turn on me, then you will either become a Brahmana or a king in Kali Yuga. And then, one may think, oh, it's a good thing to be a king. But when you become a king, then you're taking 1/6 of the reaction of your population. Brahmana in Kali Yuga means enemy of the Supreme Lord.
Yeah.
So Rama tells that to him. And he wants him. It's not like Srila Prabhupada says, that yes, spiritual master, he will do everything possible to take you back home, back to God. And even if you don't do it in one life, he'll come back to take you back home, back to God. But if you don't follow the instructions, then I'm not responsible.
Yeah.
I'm not responsible if you don't follow the instructions. You have to follow the instructions. So that's a very important point. It's not like, okay, I got initiation, Hari Bol, Jai, I'm done. No, that's the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you were also speaking about this, having faith, that how Vibhishana's ministers, they had faith in Vibhishana, So, Srila Prabhupada gives the example that once you enroll in a university because you have faith, the university will give you good education. It's not like when the teacher is teaching, now you start having doubt in everything the teacher is saying, and you look up every word or, something like that.
Right.
You have faith, teacher's going to teach me. It's the same thing. Once you surrender to someone, you firstly, you don't surrender like a stupid fool. You surrender like the philosophy comes first, the guru comes later. So you understand the philosophy properly, and then you surrender to the... And then if the spiritual master is bona fide, then you should have that faith. He's asking me to do what he's doing. In that conversation you're reading, the spiritual master is saying that the sky is green and the grass is blue, you should accept it.
Yeah.
We should accept it. That's all.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Jai. Anything else? Anybody has anything else? Any comments? Yes, Ali?
Could you speak about the you mentioned like you can't put Krishna second to service or something. You can't like present service first and then I was kind of thinking like that like more or less that could be expected in a farm community varnashram system, that people come just to serve and they don't really accept Krishna quite yet, but then just through association they're like, oh okay, like I see like
Please do the honors.
Me? Okay, that's the order. I can't say no. So, usually when Prabhu, can we please fix this freaking It's so frustrating. What's the use of
I'm sure there must be a better way to do this than a rubber band.
Is almost the absolute truth for these guys. Anyway. So this whole idea that service first and people, this is the biggest misconception. Then it eventually service. That's why all these Mayavadis are into saying it's a Mayavad conception. That's why Prabhupada said Bhakti means devotional service. Mayavadis say Bhakti means devotion. Devotion to God, devotion to dog, devotion
Mother.
to this, devotion to mother. Matur Deva. Then on top of that, they get philosophical. Matur Deva Bhava, Pitu Deva Bhava, and all this nonsense. It may be they take it out of context, like anything. And then they say service. And then ultimately it becomes service is God. Why do you need to serve God? Service is God. And then these rascal Ramakrishna people, they say, Manava Seva is Madhava Seva. Then, service to man is service to God. Where the heck did Krishna say that? Madhava Seva is Manava Seva. You want to serve God, and by serving Him, by watering the root of the tree, then the entire tree is nourished. By feeding the stomach, everything else comes about. So people want to come, okay, you're coming to serve, but you're coming to serve in Krishna's garden. It's Krishna's garden. We're doing this for Krishna. Therefore, it's a duty of those who are engaging them that, we're doing all this for Krishna. And they know, at least they should know that you're serving Krishna. Whether or not they take to it or not, that's a whole other thing. But if they don't, it's bogus, like anything. They service. Let's talk about service. What the heck Mayavad books you're reading, You're listening to Mayavadis more than our acharyas. That's why you come up with all these stupid ideas. Don't make any sense.
Service?
Huh?
How can I be of service or something like this?
How can I be of service? You can be of service by shutting your mouth and reading Prabhupada's books. That'll be a really good service, But these people don't do. And then they say, oh, I will serve, I'm serving the soil, I'm serving the... You go to BMSC, so many people who talk about service. But service to
that's
what?
True.
Service to what? What are you serving?
See, the thing is that one yes, we engage people in service, but the reason we are giving people service to do, like in a farm community or whatever, is to give them the association of devotees. Then when they're in the association of devotees, inevitably conversations will happen. And inevitably they'll take prasadam. And so the point is, when those conversations happen, when they are in the regular association of devotees, it is hoped that gradually they will come to the point of actually accepting Krishna and becoming his devotee. But they will never come to that point if you don't ever present that, it's like devotees, they bring people, but then they are trying to find opportunity. Okay, how can we tell this guy? Or, oh yeah, come, see, he's coming and doing gardening every day. Okay, but now today is Janmashtami. We have this big festival. Come, and then in that festival, what is there? There's a lecture. And in that lecture, what is being spoken? Krishna Supreme Personality, you got it. This is being said. You understand? So devotees have to, but this idea, oh, it's just service, and then encouraging people to go out inside the karmi world and just cultivate that service attitude. Just cultivate that service attitude. Go and pick up trash on the beach or something like this.
Please don't do it.
And that way you will cultivate service attitude. There are people who argue that if they do like this, then they will come closer to Krishna consciousness. They will not. It's a wrong idea.
I mean, it's such actually jiva himsa to the core. Such Jiva Himsa to the core. Because they've come so close. You have the antidote, but you won't give it to them. It's ridiculous, actually.
We don't force people, but at the same time, we are not hiding either. It's a big difference. We don't force people. If somebody's only platform is that, he'll just come, he'll do a little gardening, he'll take a little prasadam. Okay, we'll encourage him. But if he comes and talk, but we will not tell him stuff laced with Mayavad, and we will not hide the fact that we are devotees of the Supreme Lord and that we are practicing Krishna consciousness. It's not, we don't hide these in these kind of scenarios.
That's the difference, because we should give them our association, but by subscribing to these philosophies, we are taking their association, and we're becoming Mayavadis more or less pretty soon. You see the altars of these people who promote this kind of nonsense. They have the Guru Parampara and they have the holy name on top. Very soon the Om will come. It's nonsense. It's not the way Srila Prabhupada had everything. We just worship the holy name. Where are you getting all these ideas from? Too much mental speculation, too much mental masturbation.
Oh, Avadut.
Prabhu, I like this point you made about Vibhishan rejecting the bad association and how he didn't become their enemy. And one of the names of Yudhishthira Maharaj is Ajatashratu, that he
Ajatashatru, yeah.
Yeah. And a question about this pastime of Lord Rama surrendering into the ocean.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to understand because in the Gita, Krishna is saying, one who surrenders unto demigods has lower intelligence. So, and if all of his activities are perfect, why would he display this pastime of surrendering unto the ocean demigod? It seems
so
kind of bizarre.
Rama, that's a good question. Rama is playing the part of a human, right? So while playing that part, he also displays what are the mistakes that a conditioned soul could perform. Right? For instance, Rama listens to Sita's request to go and capture this deer. Lakshmana is thinking there's something fishy about this deer. But Rama goes, okay. And then Rama instructs Lakshmana, you stay here. But then Sita starts to chastise Lakshmana because she hears a voice that mimics Rama and she thinks Rama is in danger. And Lakshmana doesn't want to leave. He's been given an order not to leave. But Sita is forcing him to go. And he goes, and that's a mistake. Rama tells Lakshmana that is a mistake. You should have not done this. But then she's saying, I'm going to kill myself now if you don't do this. And she speaks all these harsh words. This is Sita, goddess of fortune, So they are all playing that role there. Sita is playing the role of a woman whose intelligence has been stolen and, completely controlled by desire and anxiety. That desire leads to anxiety. Anyways, the whole cycle is there. You can see that in Sita's example. And Lakshmana is playing the example of one who has flouted an order. Lakshmana, of all people, flouts an order. Can you believe it? He cannot flout, but he happens, So same thing, Rama displays like this. And Acharyas explain, see. Those who are envious, of course, those who are, they say, see, therefore Rama, Lakshmana, they are all normal people. They are not Supreme Lord. Because see, not perfect. But for devotees, this is also perfect. Actually, what Rama did is perfect. Because Rama, he doesn't only speak by instruction. He also instructs through example. And, just like a teacher, say somebody is teaching you how to cook, they may also show you some mistakes that one could make. Say you cut, don't cut it like this. And they'll cut it like that and show. Don't cut it like this. But it doesn't mean that they actually wanted to cut like that. It is to show an example. But sometimes a display of something is more powerful of an instruction than just words by itself. So Rama, through his display of what goes wrong when one surrenders to the wrong person, gives a very powerful instruction to the conditioned souls. Janardhan Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
We were talking about in this class about how, and in a couple of the questions early on, about how our mood and our attitude of service, it should be that, okay, we're doing this for Krishna and to serve Krishna. But while we're kind of developing that mood and that relationship, and we might not think that we know Krishna so well or have that close of and a deep relationship with him, but we might have the idea and the mindset that, okay, I don't really, I'm not at that stage where I really have a close relationship with Krishna, but with the other devotees around me, I love them and I have a close relationship with them. And therefore, in their mood and attitude of service, they might not necessarily think so much like, okay, like I'm doing this personally for Krishna, but they might be more motivated to think, okay, I'm doing this to serve the devotees. Is this like an okay mood and attitude to have?
Yeah, it's a good attitude to have. But it is expected that such a devotee will eventually, through sincere service, will automatically start to think more about first the spiritual master's instructions and how their activities will please the spiritual master, and eventually through such a thought process, one starts to think of Krishna in the same way and develops one relationship. It actually just happens progressively, just like an unripe. Chandan is calling. I think he has some point he wants to make. So somebody can call him because I'm still not done with this. So just like an unripe fruit, an unripe mango, it's connected to the tree, it's the process. So serving devotees is part of devotional service. And it will become ripe eventually.
At least in my experience, it's sometimes like a little hard to grasp that, because you think like, okay, like we have devotees that are our close friends, and you think like, oh, this person needs something, so I can do this for them and I can do this for them. But Krishna, he doesn't really need anything from us. So how can you kind of develop that same mood and understanding?
Well, Krishna also actually needs. He needs. He says in Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yo Me Bhaktya Prayachati. And Acharya has explained that Krishna wants that love. Krishna wants that devotion. Krishna wants that bhakti. So Krishna wants that. But, we are too dull-headed to, we're so conditioned that we don't understand that Krishna wants that. So Krishna wants that, and the way it's offered is it's offered through something. Now, one important point to understand how this progression happens from devotees to spiritual master to Krishna. And remember, when the progression happens, it doesn't mean that one forgets about the devotees or forgets about the spiritual master. It just grows. Is that one should eventually look at Vaishnavas as not just one's close friends and buddies and things like that, but also as servants of the spiritual master, looking at their transcendental qualities and trying to observe their spiritual, inclinations and devotional qualities and things like this. That way, one's vision and perspective of devotees, devotional service, everything starts to become transcendental, not mundane. Initially, it's very natural, especially in India. You speak a particular language and somebody else comes in that same language to the temple, immediately you become friends. Yeah. You're devotees, and he's a devotee, that's why you're associating with him. But, you're speaking same language, he's speaking same language, and they form like small groups. And that's normal, it's natural. But eventually somebody is expected to come above that platform. Okay, so initially, yeah, you might feel like, you want to give sweets only to your, same language people. But eventually you should start recognizing, oh, they're all my God brothers, they're all my devotees, they're all devotees. But it's not just God brothers, it goes even beyond, okay, devotees, Vaishnavas. And in this way, one's conception is expected to expand as one matures in Krishna consciousness, beyond the mundane perspective. So that's also very important that one has to observe. Is my perspective mundane? So, okay. Chandan, yeah. Oh, I thought I ended early. Anyways, not early, but 8:40. Anyways.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes,
Can
Prabhu.
you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Just one thing. Every time I read Ramayana, it's just so amazing. Like the chastity of Sita Devi, and how like it paints such a good example of how the women in our society should be, but how they've strayed away so far from that to an extent where they start to make up their own Ramayana and then paint Sita as some big hero who fought the war. You
Really?
seen that?
Come on.
Sita, the
Yeah,
last
Sita the warrior. And she
the warrior.
yeah,
Oh.
she fights the war with Ravana.
So it's so ridiculous. But then, like, one thing I think about is like when I was at the university in Kennesaw State, I asked a few Christian women that were out there, how do you treat your husband? They said there's God, and then there's husband, and then there's our children.
That's amazing.
Even within the Western tradition, they have like that understanding that the husband is right under, like, is after God, the husband is the big, topmost one's biggest authority. And so, or like he's a representative of God, more or less. But our society seems to have, gone further away and away from that to the extent where the woman basically becomes the husband.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just like the Ramayana just like gives us such a good understanding of how, the roles of a man and a woman. Also, it's just like Rama, obviously, and then Sita, her chastity and towards her husband.
Jai.
It's so amazing.
Yeah, good points. Jai, thank you. Okay. Mahotsav Prabhu.
Yeah, Bhaktisiddhanta Sarita Thakur had a disciple, and he was a very young boy. His name was Radha Raman, and he was traveling once with a sannyasi, and he tells the sannyasi, actually, I don't think this Jiva Swarup Hoy Krishnaniti Das, I don't think it's like suitable for me or something. And then the sannyasi gets fried out and chastises him. And then he says, you know what, I want to write an article about this. And then he wrote an article, and Bhaktisiddhanta Sarita Thakur was very pleased, where he says that, actually, I understand that I'm a servant of Krishna, but right now I don't know Krishna, but I know my spiritual master. Therefore, I know that I'm an eternal servant of my spiritual master. And by rendering eternal service to him, eventually he will reveal Krishna to me. And he was very pleased with that. Anyway.
Jai. Thank you. Okay, Matajis. Anything? No? Okay, good. All right. Thank you. Tairis? Okay. Jai. Shri Valmiki Ramayan ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhyevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.